That's a big f***ing wave. Well done. All right, so we are down in Moab for the first time ever during summer. And it's about to be in the hundreds today, but no worries because we are getting on the river. And the plan was to hopefully try to get a spot on the river right and actually go camping for the night and do a overnight on the daily section of the Moab. But because of the heat, I think it's actually worked out even better because we are currently at a campsite right on the river and there's nobody here. These are first come, first serve campsites on the Big Bend campground. Like 20 bucks a night, which we normally have never paid to go camping here, but for access like this, we can pull the boat out right here, which is unbelievable. And so yeah, we are gonna head to the put-in, drop the boat off, I'll take the van back here, and then I'll ride my bike back to the put-in, and then we'll head on the river from there, and then we can have a super light boat, which is pretty exciting because hopefully the rapids are a little bit bigger this year. The flows are right around 20,000. Last year they were at 4,000 or 5,000. So it's gonna be interesting for sure. And I think it's gonna be pretty fast. So I think we're gonna have about 13 to 16 miles on the river today. And yeah, it's gonna be a good time because we can come right back to camp. Whew, had a beautiful ride in the desert. Headed back to the put-in. Solo shuttles, you. Bubble. After squaring away all the rigging for the day, we loaded up the bikes onto the boat, got the dog ready, got everything else ready, and we were off down the river. And just like the last time we did this, we were really having to fight a headwind at the start. So I was a little nervous that this was going to take a lot longer, even though the flows were so much higher. Putting in at the Heidel Bottom boat ramp, we've actually never been this far upriver, so this whole section was completely new, which was definitely a surprise when just ahead we saw a group of people jumping off this massive rock that jutted out from the side of the river. So naturally, we had to stop and we had to go check it out for ourselves. After navigating the cliff's edge, which was trickier than we thought, we hucked it off the 15-footer right into the water, and luckily it was deep enough we didn't have to worry about hitting the bottom. Shortly after that, it was time for our first snacks of the day before we headed into the first rapid on the trip. And this was Onion Creek Rapids, which were pretty mellow. It was just a massive wave train that lasted for a few hundred yards, which was longer than anything else we've ever been in. But because of the high water and the fast speeds, it sent us into the outside of the river where we almost got caught up against the rocks, but fortunately Court was able to paddle us out. You're crushing it, hon. Well done. Then the river mellowed out for a little bit, which allowed us to take in the beautiful scenery around, especially the ones of the Castle Valley in the background. But then next up was the Professor Rapid, which was awesome because it was another big wave train, and some of these actually crested the bow as we rolled over them, getting everybody wet. It was great. Since there was no direct or obvious way through the rapid, the whole entire width of the river had massive waves like this. Nice. So it was a lot of fun just being able to try to navigate through them all. But in the end, it was just a roller coaster and we were having a great time. Ready? That was pretty cool. After sending Gregor down the wave train, which he seemed to be pretty apprehensive about, we decided to make a pit stop on the beach so that he could stretch his legs and chase some sticks into the water. I'll be honest, this is some of my favorite parts about rafting. Just doing what we love to do. But the rest didn't last long because we were headed into the biggest rapid we've ever been in, which is called New Rapid. It seemed like every wave here was all over the place, and it was really hard to find a line straight through it. So we ended up having a blast because it was absolutely crazy. We were really going over these waves pretty high. I'll be honest, looking back at these videos as we crest some of these rapids, Gregor's face is absolutely priceless, and he cannot wait to get through this rapid.
There we go.
But he absolutely loves being on this boat and has such a great time through the whole trip.
A couple of things to keep it straight, but yeah. So that means pick the right line. Yeah.
We were able to get a short break, and Courtney took over at the helm, and Gregor and I were at the bow, so we could ride through this next rapid section, which is called Rocky Rapid. This is the spot where we put in our last year when we did this for the first time. But these waves and these rapids are so much bigger because of the flows, and Courtney handled it like a champ.
I think so. You're good. It's okay. I will eddy out and come back around. Nice. Well done. Good job.
The next stretch of river is actually pretty calm, which gives us a perfect opportunity to relax in the boat and of course jump in the water and swim around. Even at this point, Gregor gets in the water and he absolutely has a blast swimming behind the boat.
I have a nice heel hook. Nice.
After we hung out for a little while in the water, it was time to get back in the boat and head into our next rapid section called White's Rapid.
So you can see the tongue is going to the left.
This rapid was the biggest one last year, and there was a standing wave last year, and this time it was even bigger. Luckily, Courtney was able to navigate right around it, so we didn't get flipped or anything like that.
Good job.
But then she was right in the rest of the rapids, which had massive standing waves compared to what we were used to. Granted, it's only class 2s and 3s, but these were huge for us since we're just learning how to go through rapids like this. But Courtney navigated these perfectly again, and we had a blast rolling through some of the big waves.
Well done.
And that was pretty much it for the big rapids on the Moab Daily. The rest of the time on that day was spent hanging out on the river as it mellowed out, bringing us a few more miles eventually to the campsite. But we still had plenty of river miles left, and we were going to enjoy every single one of them. Because, frankly, we never come down to Moab in the summer, and it is absolutely stunning, especially when you're on the river, because these 100-degree temps weren't bad at all, because the river is only like 50 degrees. Eventually we pulled up to the beach at the campground, unpacked our stuff for the night, and then made an incredible dinner before tapping out for the night so we could get ready for another day on the river the following day. The next day was going to take us from our campground, which was the Big Bend campground, to Lions Head Park, which is the bridge that you cross over to Colorado to get into Moab. It was only going to be about 7 or 8 miles, and it was mostly going to be flat water. But luckily, the river was moving fast enough that it was still going to be a fun day on the river. As the river miles count away and get us closer to the takeout, we reflect on how awesome of a trip this was, and we really wish we could come back every weekend to do something like this. Rafting has become a new activity for us, and we absolutely love it because it's a shared experience and we both can go at the same exact speed and have the same experience. Of course, only one person can get to paddle, but even just being on the boat going through the rapids, especially with Gregor, is still such a blast. Plus, going down these rivers on a raft has been able to experience these places that we've been to over and over again in a completely new way. And right before we hit the takeout, we stopped at this one island in the middle of the river so we could all get out and play before we had to load up the van and head back home, back to reality.
And let you out.
And it's trips like these that make the long weeks and the hard work all worth it, especially when you have to drive the 4 hours to get here.